today I am going to discuss about aldehyde and ketone. So first thing here is when we say aldehyde, actually it came from primary alcohol. So as you can see in this structural formula, I have here methanol, or commonly known as our methyl alcohol. So nag-add tayo dito ng oxygen. So through oxidation, we created aldehyde and water. So itong dalawa, yung product nitong primary alcohol plus oxygen. So as you can see dito, dito na structure, at saka dito na structure, may mga nawala. So ibig sabihin, yung hydrogen na dalawa napunta dito, and then yung isang oxygen andito na sa kabila, that creates water or H2O. And then as you can see, yung ating oxygen dito, meron na siyang dalawang connection. So bakit ba dalawang connection yung meron dito, yung oxygen? So if we are going to go back with our Chem 1, check kung ilan yung kayang i-share ng ating oxygen. So 'di ba, ang oxygen pwede siyang mag-share ng dalawang electrons. So that is why meron siyang dalawang connection dito. And then let's go back to recall kung ilang connections yung kayang i-connect ni or kayang i-share ni carbon natin. So carbon can share 4 electrons. So that is why we have here 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then as well as the hydrogen, meron siyang isang electron na pwede niyang i-share. So that is why tigi-isang line lang yung meron sa kanya going to our carbon. So now, this is our aldehydes. That is what we call in IUPAC name methanol. And then, its common name is formaldehyde. So I have here another structure. So this primary alcohol, through oxidation, it creates aldehyde. So through reduction, babalik siya into primary alcohol. So another example, if we have two carbons here, so we have ethyl alcohol, or what we call ethanol. So through oxidation, we create acetaldehyde or ethanol. So ganyan siya. So as you can see dito sa ating two examples, yung ating oxygen is located or connected to this carbon atom na kung saan pwede natin siyang i-consider as our primary alcohol. So now let's go back with our types of alcohol. So when we say primary alcohol, the functional group ng OH is attached to a carbon that has one, remember, that has one or no carbon atoms attached to it. Just like for example ito. So yung ating carbon dito na kung saan nakakonect yung ating functional group ng OH, iisang carbon lang yung nakakonect sa kanya, or kung example, siya lang alone. So we can consider that one as primary alcohol. So through oxidation, saka tayo makakagawa ng aldehyde. Always remember na makaka-create tayo ng aldehyde basta nanggaling siya kay primary alcohol. And its location, so as you can see dito sa ating dalawang example, the aldehyde is always located doon sa dulo. Dito sa dulo. So later on, malalaman ninyo kung bakit hindi siya pwedeng sa gitna. Okay? So, as always, through oxidation, it will produce two products, which is yung ating aldehyde and then water. So now, let's proceed with the naming of aldehyde. So ngayon, ano ba yung functional group ng ating aldehyde? So the functional group of our aldehyde is CHO, or what we call carbonyl group. So these are the rules in IUPAC naming. So the parent chain are named for the longest continuous chain containing our functional group na merong oxygen, and then its ending E will be changed to Al. So, ibig sabihin, kapag meron tayong methane, yung magiging IUPAC name nito is methanol. So, ganyan lang siya. Cancel the E, then change to Al, so we have methanol. Now, let's proceed with common naming. So, actually, in common naming, there are instances that you need to memorize kasi yun yung magiging palatandaan ninyo in terms of naming. So, I have here 4 examples. We have formaldehyde, acetaldehyde, propionaldehyde, and then we also have here isobutyraldehyde. So, actually, itong tatlong ito, it is also commonly used in carboxylic acid in terms of common naming. So, yan siya. Yung tatlong yan. Pero itong number 4, ginamitan lang siya ng isomers, kaya may iso siya dyan. So, para mas maintindihan natin, I have here another example. But, it's actually for you to familiarize itong 10. Kasi itong 10 ito, magagamit ninyo siya. So, these 10 are considered as prefixes. So, we have here form for 1 carbon atom, acet for 2 carbon atoms, propio for 3, and so on. So, napaka-importante na dapat ma-memorize nyo itong 10 ito. So, aside from that, also, there is a common method for naming the aldehydes and also for ketones. So, for aldehydes, common parent chain names similar to those in carboxylic acids. So, they are used, the suffix aldehyde, doon sa dulo. Dinadagdag yung word ng aldehyde. So, parang kagaya dito, yung ating prefix na form, then we just added aldehyde. So, in that case, we formed formaldehyde. So, in common names of aldehyde, carbon atoms near the carbonyl group are often designated by Greek letters, just like the alpha, beta, and so on. So, yan sila yung gagamitin natin in terms of naming if we have this if we have this, if we have here side chains dito na connected sa ating aldehyde kapag magko-common naming tayo. And then another, aside from that, when the CHO functional group is also attached to a ring figure or what we call closed figure kagaya ng ganito, so ibig sabihin, idadagdag natin yung suffix na carbaldehyde. So for you to understand everything, I have here some examples. So in IUPAC naming or IUPAC system names, they are on the top. Lahat ng mga nasa taas, they are IUPAC. And then yung nasa baba naman na naka-parentheses, they are the common names. And then itong nasa pinakababa natin, they are all just IUPAC names. Okay, so let's have first this one. So actually, if you are going to check books or different authors, if you are going to differentiate these skeletal structures, they are actually different. So different authors, different books, they represent or they interpret yung mga structures na ganito in their own ways. So, actually, if you are going to use this methanol in a skeletal structure, pwedeng ganito kasi yung kanilang representation pwede ring iba. Or, for you to understand well, I'll be giving an example for ethanol. So, we have here 2 carbon atoms. So, actually, in other books, they can represent this one as like this. Pwede siyang ganyan lang. Like this. But for this reference na ginamit ko, ganito yung kanilang representation. They also use or they also put hydrogen there just to indicate that in this structure, this is aldehyde with 1 hydrogen in it. So in methanol, pwede rin ganito. So ganito pagkakagawa nila ng kanilang skeletal structure. So it's very basic. That's 1 carbon atom. So this is the carbon, the oxygen, then it's 2 hydrogen. So that's methanol. Tapos kapag common name naman, that's form for our prefix and then just add aldehyde. So we have formaldehyde. The next one, we have here 2 carbon atoms. Paano ba na-create yung 2 carbon atoms dyan? Andito yung one carbon atom, and then ito yung ating next carbon atom. But actually, if you are going to check other books, they are not using, they are not putting the compound here. They are just doing this, this line. Kasi parang every edge is considered as one carbon atom, right? But it depends doon sa reference na gagamitin nyo. Pwede nilang ilagay, they are combining skeletal and condensed structural formula. And then as you can see, it's not stated as CH3. They are using H3C here. So parang ang ginawa nila dito, they just use the mirror copy na kung saan, kung ano yung naunang nakalagay doon sa kanilang structural formula, kaya yun yung una nilang nilalagay. Kaya may H3C. So, this is still the same as yung ordinary lang natin na CH3. It's just the same. So, we have here 2 carbon atoms. So, ibig sabihin, we have here ethane, tapos change the E to Al. So, we have ethanol. And then, for our common name, yung prefix natin dito is acet. Then, we added aldehyde. So, we have acetaldehyde for its common name. Now, let's have this another example. So, as you can see, diba, kung titignan natin sa dati natin na discussions, we said that every edge is considered as one carbon atom. So, let's try to check this one. So, we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then, yung andito sa dulo, eto, it is not considered as one carbon atom. So this one or this line just serves as a proof of connection ng hydrogen going to our carbon. And then, andito yung ating oxygen na connected sa ating carbon atom. So, ibig sabihin, in that case, it will only give us 5 carbon atoms for this structure. So, if we have 5 carbon atoms, so ibig sabihin, that is pentanol. So, if we are going to check for our prefix in common naming, so we have 5 carbon atoms, so that is valer. Tapos, we just add aldehyde, so we have valeraldehyde. Valeraldehyde. Okay, so now let's have this another example. Our fourth example. So, as you can see, we also have 5 carbon atoms in this structure. But aside from that, we also have here our derivative, which is chloro. So ngayon, we are going to use this one in terms of common naming. So before that, let's have first its IUPAC name. So masyadong madali lang ang ating IUPAC naming kasi if you are knowledgeable with our previous topics or previous discussions with our derivatives. And then, ito yung rule natin ha. We should always start number 1 kung asaan located yung ating functional group. So, in this case, our functional group is located here. So, we should start our number 1 here, number 2, 3, 4, and number 5. Our derivative is connected in carbon number 2. So, we have here 2 dash chloro, then our parent chain, which is 5 carbon atoms, so that is pentanol. So, that gives us 2-chloropentanol. So, how about its common name? So, in common naming, di ba, may sinabi kanina sa rules na ang paglalagay natin ng ating substituent or ng ating side chain will depend kung asaan siya naka-indicate. So, hindi na tayo maglalagay dito ng number, but instead, we are going to use the alpha, beta, or the Greek words dito. So, in this structure, so dito yung ating carbon atom, right, na kung saan connected yung ating functional group. So, yung next na carbon doon nakakonect yung ating derivative. So, ibig sabihin, dito sa ating figure, that is alpha. So, that is why may nakalagay dito na letter A. And then, dash, ilalagay natin kung ano yung ating derivatives na nakakonect dyan, which is chloro. And then, after that, yung ating prefix plus the aldehyde. So, since we have 5 carbon atoms, then that's valer, and then just add aldehyde. So, that is valeraldehyde. So that give us the product of A-chlorovaleraldehyde. So that's it. Okay, next one. So I have here another example. So in this case, it's just basic, kagaya ng mga first natin na example sa taas. So we have here 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we have 4 carbon atoms, so that is butanol. The next is for common naming, so we just need to familiarize kung ano yung number 4, that is butyr. Then we just add aldehyde, so we have butyraldehyde. Then the next one, I have here this example. So as you can see, yung substituent natin yung ating side chain is ganito siya. And then dito, hindi na siya derivatives. So as you can see din dito sa ating common name, hindi na siya gumamit ng ating Greek words. So parang ang ginawa lang dito is parang pinadali lang yung inyong way na ang ginawa na lang dito is just to count all the number of carbon atoms na present sa structure and then just used iso. So we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So in this case, we have 5 carbon atoms. And then, let's just use iso. Then, so we have 5 carbon atoms. Iso-valeraldehyde. So, ganyan siya. So, hindi na siya butyraldehyde, which is naging iso-valeraldehyde. Kasi sinama na pati yung ating substituent dyan in terms of counting. Kasi nag-iso tayo eh. So, ngayon naman, kapag nag-iopac naming naman tayo, so, babalik tayo dun sa process na kailangan, yun yung may pinakamaraming number of carbon atoms para sa ating parent chain. So, hindi tayo gagamit dito ng iso. So, we have here 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, we have 4 carbon atoms, so that is butanol. And then, it is located in carbon number 3. Then we have here 1 carbon atom na attached to it that will serve as our substituent or side chain. So that is methyl. So our final product for this one, or final naming for this one, we have 3-methyl butanol. Okay, so that's it. So now, how about kapag ring figure naman siya? So in this scenario, ito yung carbon natin na merong functional group natin na COH. So, as stated here, na dapat yung suffix niya is may carbaldehyde. But, in naming this structure, please don't forget to include cyclo kasi it was still a closed figure. So, it should have a cyclo in its iopac name. So, it's not necessary for you to write number 1 here or kasi it is understood to have na magsa-start doon yung ating number 1 kasi yung functional group natin located doon. So, we have here cyclo kasi it is a cyclic figure, and then hexane kasi we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 carbon atoms. So, we have cyclohexane. Then, let's just add the carbaldehyde. So, that's it. So, now, what if we have a substituent of or side chain in our closed figure na merong functional group na ng aldehyde? So, in this structure, ibig sabihin, dito tayo magsa-start ng ating number 1 kasi andito yung ating functional group. So, we have here 1. And then, after that, pag-proceed tayo ng number 2 kung asaan pinakamalapit yung ating substituent. So, ibig sabihin, papunta tayo sa baba. So, we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So, ibig sabihin yung ating substituent is located in carbon number 3. So, in this case, we have here 3-methyl kasi yung number 3 indicates the location of our substituent. Then, methyl kasi 1 carbon atom lang siya. Then, we have cyclohexane. Then, just add carbaldehyde as its suffix. So, that's it. I have here some examples how to write and draw the structures of aldehyde. It's condensed, skeletal, how to name its IUPAC, and common naming of aldehyde having 3 carbon atoms. So now let's have first the structural formula. So actually masyadong madali lang ito if you have your basics about alkane na structural formula. So parang ang pinagkaiba lang nito is yung carbon na kung saan connected yung ating functional group. So we have here our CHO. So ito lang ang tatandaan ninyo. Yung ating oxygen dito, meron siyang 2 connections going to our carbon, and then si hydrogen, as usual, isang carbon atom lang. So, ganyan lang siya ka-basic. So, lagi nyo lang ding tatandaan na laging nasa may dulo. But actually, maliban dito, pwede ring malocate si ating aldehyde dito sa kabilang side. So, it's up to you. It's just the same. Basta, lagi siyang nasa may duluhan. Hindi siya pwedeng nasa may gitna kasi kapag nasa may gitna siya, ibang usapan na naman yun. So now, if we are going to use or to write its condensed structural formula, pwede tayong mag-base sa ating structural. So parang iisa-isahin lang natin na ito sa ating first carbon atom, meron tayong isang carbon atom, and then doon may nakakabit na 3 hydrogen. Kaya nakuha natin yung CH3. Now, let's proceed with our second carbon sa ating structural. We have here 1 carbon atom and 2 hydrogens. So, dyan siya nanggaling. And lastly, we have here CHO. So, we have 1 carbon atom, 1 hydrogen, and 1 oxygen. So, kaya dyan natin nakuha yung ating condensed structural formula. Now, let's have our skeletal structures. So, actually, if you are going to base in other books or through internet, pwede kayong mag-browse pero make sure na naiintindihan nyo kung ano yung binabrowse nyo kasi pwedeng iba yung ibigay sa inyo tapos baka mas malito kayo. Kasi in some other references, they are combining the condensed and then the skeletal structure. Kagaya ng mga examples na binigay ko kanina. So, pwede nyong gamitin itong ganito, pwede rin ganito, or pwede rin mga ganitong structures yung gagawin ninyo. So, it's up to you kung anong gagawin ninyo. Pero para plain skeletal lang tayo, so pwedeng ganito na siya. Pwedeng may OH, pwede ring O. So, something like that. So, kagaya nun, we have here 1, 2, 3 carbon atoms kasi every edge has 1 carbon atom, and pwede rin ganito. And then, yung connection na andito, parang representation lang siya na merong hydrogen dito na connected kay carbon. So, pwedeng hindi nyo na ilagay si hydrogen, pwede rin ilagay ninyo. So, it's up to you guys. Now, when we are going to name this one, so, very basic. So, paano ba natin nakuha yung propanol? So, according to our rule, so, we have here 3 carbon atoms, which is propane. So, just cancel out the letter E, then plus Al. Kaya, nakuha natin yung propanol. So, now, let's proceed with common naming. Sa common naming, actually, all we have to do is just to memorize this one, this 10. So, since we have here 3 carbon atoms doon sa atin kanina, so that is propyo. Then, according to the rule, let's just add aldehyde. Okay, sorry for the... So, that's aldehyde. So, we have here propioaldehyde. So, ganyan lang siya. So, now, let's have these examples. So, actually, I have here the names and then its skeletal structure. So, paano nga ba nakuha yan siya? So, kagaya ng rule lang ng iba, we should start our number 1 kung asaan pinakamalapit yung ating kung asaan located yung ating functional group. So, in this case, ang ating functional group is located dito. So, ibig sabihin, our number 1 should start here. So, we have here 1, 2, 3, 4. So, ngayon, saan ba tayo iikot na para makakuha tayo ng may maraming number of carbon atoms? Let's try going up. 4, 5, 6. Paano kapag dire-diretso tayo? We have here 4, 5, 6. So, it's just the same. So, pwedeng diretsohin na lang natin. We have here 5 and 6. Now, let's locate the location of our substituent or our side chain. So, it is located in carbon number 3 and in carbon number 4. So, in our carbon number 3, we have here one carbon atom lang. So, that is what we call methyl. And then, dito naman sa taas, we have here 1, 2. So, 2 carbon atoms. So, that's our alkyl group. So, that is ethyl. So, through alphabetical order, mauuna nating ilalagay si ethyl. Kaya, meron tayo ditong 4-ethyl. So, remember, yung number 4 will just serve as the location of our alkyl group. And then, next, we have -3-methyl, then hexanal. We have here hexanal kasi we have 6 carbon atoms. So, change lang natin yung E ng hexane para makuha natin yung hexanal. Okay, so let's have our second example. So, in this case, ang functional group natin is located dito. So, ibig sabihin, dyan natin ilalagay yung ating number 1. So, we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Hindi mo na kailangan pang bilang-bilangin kung saan kayo iikot kasi it's very obvious na it's a straight line lang yung ating numbering. Kasi kapag iikot tayo dito, it will only give us 6 carbon atoms. So, kaya dumere-diretso na lang ako. Actually, kapag kabisado nun ninyo, hindi nyo na kailangan pang bilangin bawat isa kasi pag nakita nyo pa lang, alam nyo na kung saan kayo pupunta kapag kakabisado nyo na. So, in this situation, magkasama yung dalawa natin. Yung substituent natin na ganito lang, na alkyl group, and then, yung ating derivatives. So, ngayon, I have here the name. Ang ating derivative is located in carbon number 4. So, that is our bromo. And then, sa carbon number 5 naman, doon located yung ating methyl. So, through alphabetical order, mauuna si ating bromo kesa kay methyl. Kaya, yung answer natin dito, we have 4-bromo-5-methyl heptanal. So, that's it. Now, let's talk about ketone. So, kung kanina si aldehyde nanggaling siya kay primary alcohol, this ketone naman ay nanggaling siya kay secondary alcohol. So now let's go back. When we say secondary alcohol, its functional group OH is attached to a carbon having 2 other carbon atoms attached to it. So ibig sabihin, kumbaga, nasa may kalagitnaan siya na kung saan yung carbon na yon na kung saan naka-attach yung ating OH, merong dalawang nakakabit doon. Kagaya nitong example na ito. So, yung carbon natin na yan, na kung saan naka-attach si OH, may dalawa pang nakakabit sa kanya na carbon. Pero kapag tatlo guys, yung nakakonect sa kanya, that is not considered as secondary alcohol. That is tertiary. So, remember, it should be a secondary alcohol. So, let's go back with our ketone. So, I have here an example. So, I have here isopropyl alcohol or commonly known as isopropyl alcohol. Tapos yung kanyang IUPAC name is 2-propanol. So, through oxidation, it will create a ketone. So, through reduction naman, babalik siya sa pagiging alcohol niya. So, yung ating isopropyl alcohol, kapag na-oxidize siya, so, ang mangyayari sa kanya, magiging acetone na siya. Or, its IUPAC name is 2-propanone. So, itong acetone na to, ito yung ginagamit para sa pangtanggal ng ating nail polish. So, through oxidation, ang product niya is ketone plus water. So, the same lang with the aldehyde na dalawa yung magiging product niya pag dumaan siya ng oxidation. The ketone and then water. So, now let's proceed with naming. So, in IUPAC naming of a ketone, so it's just the same na yung parent chain niya andoon. Yung parent chain niya are named for the longest continuous chain containing the functional group. Then aside from that, yung ending E niya, change into 1. So for example, we have propane. So tatanggalin natin yung letter E dyan, tapos let's just add 1. So we have propanone. So now, in common naming naman, yung common names for ketones are formed by naming both alkyl groups na naka-attach doon sa kanya. Then we will just add doon sa suffix niya as ketone. So paano nga ba yun nangyari? So for example, we have these structures. So yung mga nasa taas na yan, they are IUPAC names. Yung nasa baba, they are common names. So in this structure, we have this 2-pentanone. So, paano nga ba naging 2-pentanone? So, magsa-start tayo ng number 1 in IUPAC naming kung asaan malapit yung ating functional group. So, ibig sabihin, dito tayo sa may right side. So, we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, meaning to say, it is located in our carbon number 2, yung ating functional group. So, we have here 2-pentanone. So, we have 5 carbon atoms. So, that is pentane. Then, cancel E. Then, plus 1. Kaya, nakuha natin yung pentanone. Sorry. Now, let's have the common naming. So, according dito sa rule natin, yung mangyayari dito is gagawin siyang alkyl groups. So, in this situation, paano nga ba nagkaroon ng methyl dito? Paano nga ba nagkaroon ng propyl dito? So, para malaman natin, let's find out. So, ngayon, in this example dito, sa ating first example, as you can see, yung ating oxygen dito, yung ating functional group is connected siya sa carbon na andito. So, ibig sabihin, this will serve as our baseline. So, ito siya. Hindi na natin siya papakialaman as well as the carbon na kung saan connected yung ating functional group. So, ngayon, titignan natin dito from our left side and from our right side kung ilang carbon atoms na lang ang natitira. So, ngayon, dito sa ating left side, we have 1, 2, 3. So, that's 3 carbon atoms. So, meaning to say that is propyl. Sa ating right side naman, may natitira tayo ditong 1 carbon atom, so that is methyl. So, according to our rule, na dapat naka-arrange siya alphabetically. So, kung titignan natin methyl and propyl, methyl yung nauuna, so ibig sabihin, we should name this one as methyl, propyl, then just add the suffix ketone. So, kaya nakuha natin yung methyl, propyl, ketone. Now, let's have our second example. So, as you can see, meron pa tayo ditong substituent or side chain. So, in IUPAC naming, the same pa rin ng rule na magsa-start tayo ng number 1 kung asaan pinakamalapit yung ating functional group. So, meaning to say, dito tayo magsa-start sa ating right side. So, we have here 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, our functional group is located in carbon number 2, and then yung ating substituent is located in carbon number 3. So, ang ating carbon number 3, meron siyang isang carbon atom na substituent, so that is methyl. Then, dash 2, yung location ng ating functional group, and then we have here 4 carbon atoms, so that is butanone. Now, let's go with our common naming. Now, let's have the common naming for this example. So, kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina, kung asaan connected yung ating functional group, so parang madidisregard na yun siya, hindi na natin siya isasali in terms of counting kung ilang carbon atoms na lang siya. So, in this case, in our right side, we have here 1 carbon atom, so that is methyl, kasi itatransform natin siya into alkyl groups. Now, on our left side, we have here 1, 2, at saka meron siyang substituent. So, ang gagawin lang natin siyang isomers. So, all we have to do is just to count the number of carbon atoms na present sa ating left side. So, we have here 3 carbon atoms. So, that is propyl. Tapos, lalagyan lang natin ng iso. So, through alphabetical order, ano bang mauuna? So, as you can see, merong letter I. Bakit hindi siya yung nauna kesa kay letter M? So, in terms of naming, this is disqualified. Hindi na yan siya kasali sa pag-check natin ng alphabetical. So, dito lang tayo magbe-base sa propyl, tapos sa methyl. So, through alphabetical order, mauuna si methyl. Then, next, we have isopropyl, then ketone. So, ganyan lang siya. And then, for our last example, kapag ganito, so it's just very basic. So, hindi lang siya indication na lagi siyang kay number 2. Pwede rin siyang kay number 3. Pwede rin siya kay number 4. So, depende yan siya. So, in this case, we should start our number 1 kung asaan located yung pinakamalapit yung ating functional group. So, let's try to check dito. Magsa-start tayo sa left side. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, how about kung sa right side, we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So, ibig sabihin, number 3 yung may pinakamababang number. So, ibig sabihin, doon tayo magsa-start ng ating number 1. So, we have, in IUPAC naming, we have here 3-hexanone kasi we have 6 carbon atoms. So, very basic lang siya kapag IUPAC, di ba? Now, let's have its common name. So, kagaya ng kanina, tatanggalin natin ito in our common naming kasi andito nakakonect yung ating functional group na carbon. So, ngayon titignan natin kung ilan yung nakakonect sa ating right side. So, we have here 1, 2. So, ibig sabihin that is ethyl. Then, next on our left side, we have here 1, 2, 3. So, that's propyl. So, through alphabetical order, mauuna si ethyl. So, that's the point na nakuha natin si ethyl propyl ketone. Ngayon naman, pag-uusapan natin, paano naman tayo magne-naming kapag parehong present si aldehyde at saka si ketone at the same molecule. So, according dito, as with many molecules with 2 or more functional groups, one is given priority while the other is named as substituent. So, ibig sabihin, may isa tayong pa-priority and then yung hindi natin mapa-priority, magiging substituent na lang siya. So, in this case, aldehydes have higher priorities. Remember, ang aldehyde meron siyang higher priority kesa kay ketone. So, ibig sabihin, si ketone yung magiging substituent natin and then si aldehyde yung ating magiging parent chain. So, ngayon, anong mangyayari kay ketone? Paano siya magiging substituent? How are we going to name that one? So, instead na gagamitin natin yung 1 doon, ang gagamitin natin is exo na parang palatandaan natin na it's a substituent. And then yung aldehyde, so parang kagaya lang siya ng dati na mag-i-end siya with Al. So, it is not necessarily to give the aldehyde functional group a location kasi nga number 1 naman siya. So, kahit lagyan mo yan ng number 1 doon or hindi, it is considered as the same pa rin na understood siya na number 1, na doon siya nagsimula. Okay, so let's have first this example. So, since priority natin yung ating aldehyde, so dito tayo magsa-start ng number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, in this case, our ketone is located in carbon number 4. So, in terms of naming, so actually all of these are just IUPAC names, guys, ha? So, we have here 4, then dash. So, kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina, we will just use oxo here. So, we have 4 oxo, then pentanol kasi we have here 5 carbon atoms. Now, let's have this second example. So, as you can see, hindi lang siya parang dalawa lang na functional group yung andoon. So, pwede rin na tatlo sila. So, in this case, we have 2 ketones na nandito sa ating molecule. And then, we have 1 aldehyde. So, kagaya ng sabi ko dati, our priority here is our aldehyde. So, ibig sabihin, we will start our number 1 kung asaan siya nakalagay. So, in this case, we will start here 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, yung ating substituent na ketone is located in carbon number 3 and carbon number 4. Kaya, yung nakalagay dito is number 3 and 4. So, since we have two substituent na ketone dito, so, ibig sabihin, gagamit tayo ng di. So, we have 3,4 dioxo, then pentanol kasi we have 5 carbon atoms. And lastly, for example, we have this example. Now, we have two functional group, one aldehyde and one ketone, and another substituent na hindi siya functional group. So, kagaya pa rin ng dati, so parang basic lang siya. We will start our number 1 here, then 2, 3, and 4. So, yung ating substituent na methyl is located in carbon number 2, and then yung next naman is kay carbon number 3, yung ating substituent na ketone. So, through alphabetical order, mauuna yung ating methyl. So, we have 2-methyl-3-oxobutanol. How about kapag naming naman ng dialdehyde and diketones? So, for dialdehydes, the location numbers for both carbonyls are omitted because of aldehyde functional groups are expected to occupy the ends of the parent chain. So, ibig sabihin yung ending nun will be dial. So, ibig sabihin yung di dito indicates na merong dalawang aldehyde. And since it's an aldehyde, so you will be expecting na nasa dulo at dulo siya. Then after that, all you have to do is just to count the number of carbons na andoon. So, kagaya nito, we have 5 carbon atoms, that is pentane. So, since it's a dialdehyde, so magiging dial siya. So, as well as in this example. So, we have here 4 carbon atoms, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, we have here 2 functional groups dun sa magkabilaan. So, that is butane dial. Ngayon naman, kapag ketone naman siya, ang mangyayari dyan, ang magiging pangalan niya is dione. Dione. Ganyan siya. So, dalawa silang nasa may gitna. So, in this scenario, it is 2,4-pentane dione. So, paano nga ba nangyari yan? So, mag-start tayo ng number 1 kung asaan pinakamalapit yung ating functional group na ketone. So, dahil nasa may gitna naman sila, so you can start in any other way kasi balanced naman siya. So, you have your 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, yun yung 2 and 4 na location niya. Then, we have 5 carbon atoms, so that is pentane. Then, lagyan nyo lang ng di1. So, in this final example of our diketone, so, hindi na siya balance. At masyadong visible kung saan talaga tayo magsa-start ng number 1. Dito talaga tayo magsa-start ng number 1 sa ating left side kasi mas malapit yung ating functional group dito compared dito sa ating right side. So, we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So, ang location nila is in carbon number 2, and carbon number 3. So, in this scenario, we have 2,3-hexane kasi 6 carbon atoms and dione. So, that's it. Diba? Very basic lang. Now, let's talk about naming cyclic ketones and diketones. So, in cyclic ketones, the carbonyl group is assigned location position number 1. And this number is not included in the name unless more than one carbonyl group is presented. So the rest of the ring is numbered to give the substituents the lowest possible locations number. So remember, the prefix cyclo is included before the parent chain name to indicate that it is a ring. As with other ketones, the E ending is replaced with 1 to indicate the presence of a ketone. So with cycloalkanes, with contain 2 ketones, both carbonyls need to be given allocation numbers. So also, an E is not removed from the end, but the suffix dione is added. So please take note of those things, guys, okay? So, actually, it's very basic lang naman. So, parang kagaya lang siya ng mag-naming kayo ng other functional group. So, all you have to do is just to retain this cyclo. And then, di ba magna-number 1 tayo dito? So, it's not necessarily na kailangan talagang ilagay ninyo yung number 1 kasi understood na kahit na walang nakalagay doon na number 1, it's 1 na talaga siya. So, pwede na hindi nyo na ilagay. So, ang kailangan nyo lang talagang ilagay is yung cyclo just to indicate it's a closed figure or it's a ring figure. And then, yung isa dulo, papalitan natin ng 1 just to indicate that it's a ketone. For example, we have this one. So, we have here 5 carbon atoms. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, ibig sabihin that's cyclo. Dahil 5, that's pentane. Then, pinalitan yung E ng 1, so pentanone, cyclopentanone. The next example, we have here a derivative of bromo. So, dahil nandito yung ating functional group, so ibig sabihin our number 1 should start here. And then, yung ating number 2 is kung asaan pinakamalapit yung ating next na substituent, which is going to the right. So, we have here 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, yung location niya is carbon number 2, kaya we have here 2-bromo, cyclopentanone. The next one, we have this structure. So, as you can see, meron tayo ditong alcohol. And we also have here ketone. Pero kapag kami ma-encounter kayong ganito, ang priority natin dito is the ketone. Kahit na si ketone ay nanggaling kay alcohol, mas pina-priority pa rin natin si ketone dito. So, ibig sabihin, dito tayo mag-start ng number 1. Then, kahit saan tayo papunta, kahit sa going to the right or going to the left, it will still give us the number 4. So, we have here 4. So, instead of alcohol, so parang kagaya ng nangyari kay kay ketone, kapag ka naging substituent siya, ang pangalan niya is oxo, di ba? Ngayon naman, kapag si alcohol naging substituent siya, magiging hydroxy siya. So, we have here 4-hydroxy, then just add the cyclo just to indicate it's a closed figure, and then hexanone kasi we have 6 carbons in it. Now, let's proceed with this item. So, dahil dito, priority natin yung number 1 natin kung asaan yung ating functional group. Then, number 2 kung saan yung may pinakamalapit. So, ang may pinakamalapit is yung yung kay bromo. So, dito yung ating number 2. Then, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Ang location ng ating bromo is in carbon number 2. And then, yung kay carbon number 5 naman, nakalocate dyan yung ating methyl. So, H3C or CH3, they are just the same, guys, ha? So, that is methyl. So, kung i-arrange natin siya through alphabetical order, mauuna si bromo compared kay methyl. Kaya ganito yung pangalan niya. We have 2-bromo-5-methyl cyclohexanone. Okay, another one. Kapag kadalawang functional group na parehong ketone, so, ibig sabihin yan, ganito lang pagkakanim yan. 1,4 cyclohexane, tapos gagamitan natin ng dione. Yung parang kagaya lang nung kanina. Kapag may dalawang ketone doon, yung dulo niya is dione. And then retain lang yung hexane. So, the same rule pa rin dito kasi dalawang functional group yung present. So, we have here 1,2-cyclopentane dione. Now, we are going to name carbonyls and hydroxyls in the same molecule. So, when aldehyde or ketone is present in a molecule which also contains alcohol functional group, in the carbonyl is given a nomenclature priority in the EOPAC system. So, this means that the carbonyl is given the lowest possible location, number, and appropriate nomenclature suffix is included. So, in the case of alcohols, the OH is named as hydroxyl substituent. However, the L in the hydroxyl is generally removed. So, ang mangyayari niyan, hydroxy na lang siya. Okay, so let's have this first example. So lahat ng nasa upper part, they are all aldehyde, and then yung sa baba, they are all ketone. So for this example of our aldehyde, so as you can see, we have here the aldehyde, and then this one is our alcohol. So actually, we know that the functional group of alcohol is OH. So as you can see, baliktad siya dito. So there's a tendency that the resource of yung resource na kinunan ng copy na to, parang nag-mirror copy lang sila. Like, yung H kasi yun yung nauna bago yung O dun sa kanyang structural formula. So, that's why HO yung nakalagay. HO or OH, they are just the same as alcohol. So, kung titignan mo, OH, pero yung arrangement nila is different. Kasi dito, sa case ng oxygen na to, yung isang hydrogen niya, ay yung isang electron niya is connected towards the hydrogen. Tapos, yung isa naman sa carbon. On the other hand, itong aldehyde naman, itong oxygen, yung dalawang connections niya, yung dalawang shared electrons niya, direct kay carbon. At tapos, si hydrogen naman na isa, diretso kay carbon. So, hindi talaga sila nag-met. Okay. So, ngayon, in this figure, as according dito sa sinabi sa taas, na madidisregard at hindi natin ipa-priority ang alcohol. Kasi ang priority natin dito ay yung ating aldehyde and ketone. So, ibig sabihin, in terms of naming its parent chain, it will end with Al na nakapangalan kay aldehyde. Tapos, itong si alcohol dito will only serve as a substituent. So, ang pangalan niya dito will be hydroxy. Now, let's start to name this structure. So, ngayon, kung titignan nyo rin dito, yung sagot niya dito is butanol, right? So, ibig sabihin nito, ito yung ating number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. So, itong line dito, it's just a representation na this OH or this alcohol is connected to this carbon. So, ngayon, kung titignan mo sa other references, kung sa other books or through internet, there might be some misunderstanding or misconceptions in terms of naming kasi malilito ka talaga kasi yung bawat isa sa mga tawag nito, sa mga authors, may iba't iba silang way of interpreting and presenting the skeletal structures. So, in this one, ang ginagawa niya is nilagyan niya lang yan na ganyan just to show that this functional group is connected to this carbon. So, actually, pwede nyo siyang gawin na ganito ha, para hindi kayo malito. Actually, pwede nyo siyang gawin ganito, ito. So, ganyan siya. Or pwede nga rin na ang gawin nyo is ganito. Pwede rin ganito yung gawin nyo. Pwedeng ganyan. Pwedeng hindi nyo na ilagay yung H or pwede rin ilagay nyo yung H. Yung para bang hanging para hindi kayo mas mahirapan in terms of creating the structural formula of this one. So now let's proceed with our naming. So we have here 1, 2, 3, and 4 carbons. So parang ang nangyari lang dito kay alcohol, parang nagaya ka siya kay letter H na parang yung connection na to is just to show the connection of it going to the carbon atom. Kaya meron tayo ditong butanol. So we have here 4-hydroxy butanol kasi naka-locate siya kay carbon number 4. Next, let's have this structure. So we have here our number 1, 2, 3, and 4. So kay carbon number 3, we have here 1 carbon atom na nakakonect sa kanya. 1 carbon atom. And then kay carbon number 4 naman, nakakonect yung ating functional group. So if we are going to name this one, we have 4-hydroxy, 4-hydroxy, -3-methyl, -methyl butanal. So, ganyan lang siya. Ngayon, paano naman kaya kapag ketone? So, si ketone, nasa may gitna lang naman yan siya. So, doon tayo magsa-start ng ating number 1 kung saan pinakamalapit yung ating functional group. So, we have here 1, 2, 3, and 4. Kay carbon number 2, kaya number 2 siya dyan, and then butanone. And then kay carbon number 4, yung ating hydroxy. Then lastly, for this example, so as you can see, we have here 2 functional groups ng alcohol. So, kaya meron tayong 1, 5 dash dihydroxy dash 3-pentanone dash pentanone. So, paano nga ba yun nangyari? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Kay carbon number 1 and carbon number 5, and then yung location ay kay number 3. So, that's it. Good day. So now I am going to teach you how to create a PowerPoint presentation using the WPS Office na pwede niyong magamit through your mobile phones. So now, kailangan nyo lang talaga is to download it from the Google Play Store. Then kapag meron na kayo, pwede na tayong makapag-start na mag-create ng ating PowerPoint presentation. So first thing is we need to click the application to WPS Office. And then, after that, kiklik lang natin yung plus sign dito. So, yung plus sign dito, pagka-click natin yan, since yung gagawin natin is PowerPoint presentation, ikiklik natin yung presentation. Pero kapag document naman, ikiklik natin yung document. So, since focus tayo for the presentation, ikiklik lang natin itong presentation. And as you can see, meron tayo ditong iba't ibang klase. So, meron yung blank. So, yung blank dito, wala talaga siyang kalaman-laman from the word blank. Then, next is, di ba may iba't ibang designs dito na pwede nyong gamitin kung sakali. So, pwede nyong i-edit na lang yung content niyan. So, ngayon, ang itatry natin is yung blank page. So, click the blank page. So, andito na siya. Para makapagsulat kayo dito, it says, here's the double tap to add title. So, double tap lang yan. Then, you can write the title of your presentation. For example, ang ilalagay natin dito is Educational Technology. Then, double tap for our subtitle. Then, okay. So, kung kunwari tapos na kayo dito, proceed tayo sa next slide. So, pipindutin lang natin pwede itong plus slide. Then, pwede tayong makapili kung ano yung design. So, yung title slide, title and content, section header, to column content. Ang pinakamaganda lang dito is meron siyang example kung ano yung lalabas doon sa presentation once na naklik mo siya. So, kung kunwari gusto mo ng picture, so picture and title. So, ganyan lang siya. Double click lang natin ito or click lang ng isang beses. So, add tayo ng title dito. So, we have here title for example. Then, next is, paano kapag gusto kong maglagay ng pictures? So, meron dito sa baba, may nakalagay na slide, picture, text box, shape. So, pwede nyong i-click yan. Then, you can also check or explore kung ano pwede nyong magawa. So, for example, i-click natin tong picture. So, ito. Yan. For example, yun yung gusto kong ilagay. Then, okay. Mag-a-appear na siya dito. So, pwede mo siyang paikutin. Ganyan. Then, i-enlarge. So, ganyan yung mangyayari. So, as you can see, diba, parang nawala yung text na kung saan pwede tayo mag-encode. So, para hindi na kayo mahirapan, ang gagawin natin is ito, i-click lang natin. Pwede natin siyang iset as background. Crop. Pwedeng ganun. Or pwede rin na i-lock natin siya. Pwede rin i-lock ng ganun. So, kung kunwari ito, double tap lang, then pwede tayo mag-type ng text na dito. So, aside from that, pwede rin tayo maglagay dito ng filters. For example, ito. Kung gusto mo ng ibang color, pwede rin ito. Ganyan. Pwede rin mag-insert dito ng pictures, text box. Andito na siya lahat. Pwede rin yung transitions. Design. Or yung pen. Anong klaseng pen yung gagamitin mo. Or, you can also add a file text box. So, that's it.